can't believe we lost Fig. I didn't know him as well as you did, but I know he was a good man. Glad Weasley spoke for him. She honored him well. Fig will be well remembered. I wish the same could have been done for my uncle. I wonder if there's a chance Anne would meet me.
Sebastian, I can't imagine what you and Anne are going through. Perhaps you'll hear from her soon.
I hope so. I'll let you know.
Sebastian, there's something you should know. It's to do with Victor Rookwood.
I heard a rumor that he confronted you outside of Ollivander's. Sounds as if he faced quite a fight.
The rumors are true, and I did, but it's not that. Just before Rookwood attacked, he uttered something familiar. The same words Anne heard before she was cursed. Children should be seen and not heard.
Wait, what are you saying?
It wasn't one of Ranrock's loyalists who cursed Anne. It was Rookwood. It was Rookwood all along.
This can't be. It was the Loyalists. It's always been them. The night Anne was cursed, all she saw were goblins.
Once Rookwood allied with Ranrock, Isadora's estate became of interest to them both. That's why Rookwood was there the night Anne was cursed. He was working with Ranrock. When he saw your sister, well, he didn't want anyone to know.
So he cursed her. And she's never been the same. So cruel. Rookwood deserved what he got. Thank you for telling me. It wasn't a goblin. I suppose I owe you an apology. All this time I thought goblins were the enemy. But it was never that simple. Ominous said he's spoken with Anne. I wonder if she'll see me. I'll find out and send word when I know more. I've thought about what you told me in the Great Hall. I would like to speak with you. Meet me in the Undercroft as soon as you can. I'm glad you came.
Sebastian, I've received your owl. What's happened?
Ominous spoke with Anne about what happened with my Uncle Solomon. She believes I should pay for what I did, but she won't turn me in. She said the guilt I'll have to live with is punishment enough.
I'm so sorry. But I'm glad you know that you can at least try to move on now.
The thing is, I think I've lost my sister, my twin, forever. She refuses to even see me. I can't blame her. I couldn't really blame any of you if you gave up on me entirely. You all believed in me, and I let you all down.
Sebastian, I'm afraid Anne may never be able to forgive you. But at least now you have a chance to change your path.
I am glad for that. But I still have hopes that Anne may in time understand what happened and come to forgive me. I realize I can't undo what's been done, but I can try every day to make up for it. I owe you and Ominous everything for standing by me.
Well, it wasn't easy, but I believe in you, Sebastian. I've had a sense about you since that first day in Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Seems so long ago. Thank you. I have no idea what's to come, but I'm grateful for your friendship. I'm glad you came to Hogwarts.
By all accounts, Hogwarts would be lost without you.
Professor Weasley, you wanted to see me?
I did. We haven't had a chance to speak since I know you were quite close with Professor Fig.
Hogwarts won't be the same without him.
No, it won't. But I can assure you that he would want us to press on, and that he would rest easy knowing that the future of the wizarding world is in hands like yours.
Thank you, Professor.
You've had quite a year, both inside and outside of Hogwarts. I've heard all sorts of rumors. You've ridden a graphorn, befriended a goblin, rescued hippogriffs, even helped Mr. Ollivander track down a family wand.
How did you...
It's harder to keep secrets around here than one might suspect. I'm just glad you found such a good friend in Miss Sweeting. It's nice to see her engaging more with her classmates. There have evidently been Snidget sightings in the area lately. If the centaurs are to be believed, 2 Hogwarts students are behind it.
I'm certain I don't know what...
No need to discuss it further. What I would like to discuss is your wizard's field guide. May I see it?
Of course. What do you think, Professor?
I think you've been busy this year. I see some progress here, but quite a bit of your field guide has yet to be completed. Fortunately, you do have some time to prepare for your O.W.L.s. I will confess, I had a sense about you from that first moment you came bursting in, late, to the sorting ceremony. I am pleased to see that my instincts were correct. To think you've only been with us a year and you'll already be taking your O.W.L.s, well, it's nothing short of astonishing.
Thank you, Professor, for everything.
You are most welcome. I look forward to seeing what you do during the rest of your time with us.
Professor, I wondered if I could ask how you came to Hogwarts.
I suppose that is not an unexpected question. After I told you about my time in Mahutokoro, it was a simple matter of fate, really. After my experience with the Toyohashi Tengu, I was determined to find work that would fulfill me. I accepted a position with the Japanese Ministry of Magic. I cannot tell you the specifics of my work. A few years into my post, I had the honor of working with Professor Weasley, at the time a curse breaker for the British Ministry.
Professor Weasley was a curse breaker for the Ministry.
She was. But I would advise you not to inquire upon it. She is quite clear that her focus is now Hogwarts. We coordinated, shall we say, defensive efforts on a particular matter, and were talking one evening about the rigors of our respective positions. She mentioned plans to return to Britain and Hogwarts specifically. I noted I could appreciate her decision. Her description of the school was so enchanting that when she wrote to me a few years later about the open position of flying professor, I was intrigued.
Wasn't it difficult to leave your home?
In some way, yes. But in others, I was ready for another adventure, to bring my experience and knowledge to another realm. My reason for coming to Hogwarts was to expand my horizons.
Then you enjoy being a flying instructor, even after all that happened?
I do. And not despite all that happened, but because of it. You would do well to let lessons be just that, lessons. Learn from your errors, in judgment or otherwise. I am proud to impart such knowledge upon students, no matter where in the globe they may reside.
Thank you for protecting our school.
Professor, could you tell me how you and Natty ended up at Hogwarts?
I can. That is an easy question. We are here because of Professor Weasley.
You knew Professor Weasley when you were in Uganda?
I knew of Professor Weasley. As you may or may not be aware, Professor Weasley's work once took her around the globe. Without providing detail that is not mine to share, I can say that she was well known in our wizarding community for, well, sharing magical knowledge between countries.
Professor Weasley seems quite knowledgeable, so I'm not surprised to hear she'd do that sort of thing.
Indeed. Although I suspect there is much about each of your professors that would surprise and impress you. Such exchanges of information, ministry sanctioned or not, have occurred for centuries. It was an African sorcerer, in fact, who shared the unlocking charm with a certain wizard from London. A thief, rather unfortunately.
I see.
But, back to your original question. Professor Weasley had heard of my work and life in Matabeleland, and my time teaching at Ouagadougou. She was deputy headmistress at Hogwarts by then, and when the position of divination professor became available, she contacted me. Her timing was perfect. I had just foreseen a change in Nat's size and my circumstances and knew that we needed to leave Uganda. Natsai was as ready as I was for a new adventure. So, off we went.
Natty has spoken of your move. She was quite kind to me my first day here, in Charms.
That sounds like Natsai. I'm glad she has found a friend in you. Now, I must return to my work. As I've told Natsai, do be careful. I had a vision earlier this year of her with a friend, flying on winged beasts. Perhaps unsurprisingly, she will neither confirm nor deny my visions, unless it suits her.
Professor Sharp, do you have a moment?
Depends on how you intend to use it.
I saw an aura badge on your desk and was wondering if you could tell me more about your time as an aura.
Observant. I suppose I could indulge you for a moment. Spent years tracking down reprobates who dealt in artifacts of dark magic origin.
That seems a bit more dangerous than teaching potions.
Often, yes. Though I've seen some remarkably creative concoctions brewed in my class. I enjoyed a great deal of success as an aura. However, success can make one complacent if one's confidence is not tempered by humility. One overstep in battle changed everything.
May I ask what happened?
Yes, well, I suppose it's a matter of record. My partner and I had tracked a suspect to a harbor in Scarborough, trying to smuggle shrunken heads of all things. I had deduced that he was working alone. I was mistaken, and they knew we were coming. From the moment we stepped onto the ship, well, I barely escaped with my life. My partner wasn't so lucky.
I suppose being an Aura is dreadfully dangerous. I'm sorry.
It is that. But survival is not guaranteed for any of us. Pay attention. And not just within my class. This is what I must impress upon you all. A potion and a poison may be a mere breath apart, until you consume the wrong one.
Well said, Professor.
The only reason I...
Professor, could you spare a moment?
How may I help you?
I'm interested in the Goblin rebellions of the past.
Ah, certainly. Their history is part of our history. In fact, you can trace most Goblin rebellions to wizard intervention. More specifically, the laws governing wands and who may legally possess them. The Goblin Rebellion of 1612, for example, arose from Goblin frustration over lack of representation on the Wizengamot. It became a terrible, blood-soaked affair. Take heart, though. Our current peace and prosperity shows that violence can be transitory.
But Hogsmeade was just attacked, Professor.
If I'm not mistaken, and I rarely am, one of the 18th century's rebellions was led by Urg the Unclean. He had been dunked in a pond publicly by a group of young wizards, if you can imagine that. Another rebellion in 1752. The rebellion was so badly mishandled that Minister for Magic Albert Boot was forced to resign. That being said, his replacement, one Basil Flack, lasted mere weeks. Best sort of vindication, if you ask my opinion.
Please go on.
2 months into Flack's tenure, bad went to worse when the werewolves allied with the goblins. Quite smartly, Flack resigned rather than deal with their combined forces. Minister Flack was succeeded by one Hephaestus Gore, who quickly quashed the Jewel uprisings with his signature brutality. It is worth noting that many historians believe this punitive response led to even more werewolf conflict. You have noted all of this, have you not?
Oh yes, Professor. Please continue.
Continue? I take it your thirst for knowledge has yet to be quenched.
If you would be so kind, Professor Binns.
I rarely find an audience, captive or otherwise, eager to engage in such historical minutiae.
I find your lectures quite engaging, sir. Thank you for sharing your vast knowledge.
My sincere pleasure. Now, I do believe I should be preparing for my next class. Good day to you.
Professor, do you have time to chat?
I always have time for my students. How may I help you?
I wondered if I might ask how long you've been teaching at Hogwarts.
Well, it's been what now? 7 swift years. Time does fly because we have fun. Essential in my opinion. An eager, positive, and confident mind is the most open to knowledge, I find.
Some of the professors may not agree with your approach.
Well, each of us has our own style, I suppose. Some in the teaching field believe that hard work and dedication are the only keys to success. But they forget what drives those things. If one cannot fathom why some would expend energy on gobstones, then one is blind to the enormous power of play.
And that's why you teach the way you do.
Precisely. I strive to be the sort of professor that I would have enjoyed in school. My experience was less cheerful.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. It sounds as if your experience as a student was less than ideal.
Had I received a more traditional education, well, enough about my student days. You are here now, and it would be a shame if you didn't enjoy it.
I'll do my best, Professor. Thank you for the advice.
You are most welcome. Try to have a bit of fun today. Huh?
Professor, what can you tell me about your work at the Ministry?
Your curiosity is understandable. Well, although I can't speak in any detail of my work, I can tell you certain interesting facts. Unspeakables work in the Ministry's Department of Mysteries. Dangerous work at times, as you've no doubt guessed.
Yes, Professor.
Now, you needn't concern yourself with my injury. I made peace long ago with the fact that a sprig of dittany, once plucked, will surely begin to wilt.
You do seem to have come to terms with things rather well.
It's a matter of perspective. Without saying more, perhaps whatever time I've lost was an exchange for time gained, and to dwell on such matters is a waste of the days ahead. At this point, no magic permits us to travel back in time. Perhaps one day. Yes, I can tell you that my years at the Ministry were well spent. And I'm as happy to be at Hogwarts now as I was to be in the Department of Mysteries years ago.
If I may, Professor, I'm also happy that you're here at Hogwarts now.
Kind of you to say. Speaking of time, perhaps yours would be best spent honing your defensive wand work.
Yes, Professor. Professor, might I have a moment?
Yes. What is it?
I was wondering what inspired your interest in magical beasts.
Are you considering some sort of profession in the field?
I haven't decided quite yet, but I do find magical beasts fascinating.
You do seem to engage well with the beasts in class. I believe that when choosing a path, particularly of a scholarly nature, one must take into account both one's enthusiasm for a particular subject, as well as how one may best serve the students to whom one is obligated to both inspire and teach.
Of course, Professor. When did your path become clear?
I recall it quite vividly. It was the summer between my 6th and 7th years. I read in the Prophet about a wizard who'd been selling alchemy eggs and disappeared in the mountains near my home. I knew of the alchemy, of course, from my studies, but they are native to lands east of here, such as India. I wondered if it was possible that an alchemy could be so nearby. Hence, I went to find it.
What type of beast is an alchemy?
It is a spectacular beast. A feathered, winged serpent-like creature that can grow or shrink to fit a particular space. Its eggs are made of pure silver, hence the desire to trade in them.
Seems quite a challenge finding an alchemy in the mountains.
It was. After a few days, during which my parents grew increasingly annoyed at my absence, I found what little remained of the wizard egg trader. He was near a tree hollow. And there, inside, was a nest with 7 silver alchemy eggs.
What did you do with them?
Nothing. Beasts are to be valued for what they can provide for wizard kind. Protective clothing, potion ingredients, even wand cores. Only poachers see the value in ending a beast's life for galleons. I left the eggs alone. I hid. And moments later, the beast flew right over my head. Breathtaking. She then seemed to all but disappear as she shrunk to fit into the hollow.
That sounds incredible.
Indeed. I knew in that moment that I needed to understand all that I could about beasts and ensure that wizard kind learned to benefit properly from them. Now, I trust that I have answered your question. You would do well to continue your study of beasts, regardless of your chosen path. Beasts and all that they provide will vastly improve your life, and perhaps one day even save it.
I shall remember that, Professor. Thank you. Professor, do you have a moment?
I do.
May I ask what attracted you to astronomy?
You may. Might I assume from your inquiry that you wonder how anyone may have an interest in astronomy?
Oh, not at all, Professor. I find it intriguing and wanted to know more about your work.
Ah, that is good to hear. So often those who do not fully understand all that can be gleaned from the stars question astronomy's relevance. Misperceptions frequently arise due to the confusion of astronomy with astrology, the ridiculousness of which I shall not deign to discuss. To answer your question, it was my dear sister who first sparked my interest in stargazing. The two of us spent countless nights on our rooftops staring at the cosmos. It was one of the only subjects we could study together.
I'm not sure I follow, Professor. Why was that?
My sister is a squib. Clever, hard-working, and generous, but a squib nonetheless. The only non-magical child born to our family in generations, poor thing. Although she manages exceptionally well.
It sounds as if she's a lovely person and accomplished.
She is. And to her credit, while she was once disappointed not to attend Hogwarts, she has excelled in Muggle school. One of the first women, we suspect, to have attended Cambridge, well disguised at the time by our mother as a gentleman scholar. And as astronomy is one subject shared between the Muggle world and ours, she and I have been able to maintain that common interest. We still sneak up to a rooftop now and then to gaze upwards, courtesy of a levitation charm rather than a trellis nowadays.
Thank you for telling me about your sister, Professor.
I was glad to. It is good to be reminded of all that one can accomplish when one embraces who one is. Now off you go. I am sure you've a star chart to review somewhere.
Was there to catch him. She's very good at arresting momentum.
I practiced doing a loop-the-loop on my broom all summer. What a waste of time.
I think Madame Kagawa's brother is a professional Quidditch player. If I could meet him.
You can't imagine how inconvenient travel was before I invented flu powder.
Owls must be incredibly intelligent to deliver all those letters. I still get lost looking for our common room.
This year, we have seen our students exemplify the bravery of Godric Gryffindor. Allow me to finish. The loyalty of Helga Hufflepuff. The wisdom of Rowena Ravenclaw. And the ambition of Salazar Slytherin. And so, the winner of this year's House Cup...
Excuse me, Headmaster, if I may. One particular student's heroism during the attack on Hogwarts, not to mention the level to which they have excelled in their coursework, as a new student, no less. Well, it would seem that it certainly merits... I'd say 100 points to their house. Wouldn't you agree?
Ah, yes. Thank you, Professor Weasley. I suppose we have our winner.